Hey there, welcome to episode 19 of Beyond the Blastdoors, a Star Wars podcast. Thanks for clicking on this episode. It's incredible. One away from 20, and we've got 3/4 of the crew with us today, starting with, on the far left, Jesse Buck. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Been busy streaming, working on cosplay and everything, so...
You're living the dream. You were very active last couple of days. You got a new blaster you're working on. I'm sure we'll hear about that later on.
Yes, it's getting close to being ready for painting and everything, and then I've got some nice little greeblies to attach to it to really give it a nice look.
I feel like this is a very deep tease for staying on target. David Gilbert, you and I have spent so much time in the last 42 hours. Honestly, I'm not sure how you're not sick of me yet.
I've just been enjoying the comic books.
Yeah, that's okay. So we'll go ahead and bring this up now. Earlier this week, David and I sat down. We got tagged from a fan of the show, fan and friend. I think he's a friend first, then fan. But Alex, the comic hoarder, if you like comic books and you like seeing hauls and you like seeing like just the most incredible comic book covers ever, check out his channel. But he tagged us. He asked us to show off our top 20 books, so we did that video, and that should be up this week as well. We're gonna jump right in because we actually have a ton of stuff to talk about this week in Star Wars, because we were saying just a few days ago, wow, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on. And then EA Star Wars just dropped a ton of stuff. So first, as always, Real Talk. Real Talk is the segment where we talk about everything movie related. This is the saga films, the standalone movies, and the 2008 theatrical release of The Clone Wars. We are going to start off with The Last Jedi trailer that's set to come out Monday, October 9th. So a week from when we're recording this podcast, we got 7 days to speculate about what this trailer is going to include. So first we're going to start. It's going to be a two-part thing. Let's start with what we expect to see in it, and then what we want to see in it. Because I think they're two different questions.
There are.
Fair enough?
I expect it to be roughly 2 minutes of footage with some music in the background, some people talking over the top. That's what I'm thinking that we're going to see with this trailer, David.
Is that your answer?
That is my answer for what I expect to see.
We on Beyond the Blastdoors are really taking the extra effort to ensure that we keep this show PG. I'd like to think that maybe you and your brother, or you and your child, or you and your mother are watching this show. You're an asshole. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've never...
That's our one curse word for
That's
this
the
episode.
one. So I used it wisely. And it was less than 2 minutes into the show.
Well
Jesse,
done.
what do you expect to see in this new trailer?
I expect to see some of the same shots that we've already seen, because that's kind of what they did with The Force Awakens, with a few more like new shots. I'm kind of hoping to see Cano Blight. I want to see this character DJ, hopefully.
All right, well, don't give away what you want to see yet too soon.
Oh.
Is that all you expect, though?
That's what I expect. Yeah.
That's all you expect?
Yeah, I just kind of I don't know, just kind of a shuffle of some of the old scenes with a few new ones in there. That's just kind of how it seems to work.
Okay, so you guys don't expect a whole lot. Okay, Jesse, I'm sorry for cutting you off. You might as well just go in with what you want to see.
Well, yeah, I want to see Cano Blight and DJ in there. And, of course, my boy Boba maybe just standing in the background on Cano Blight, just kind of chilling. But
what is it going to mean to you if you see this movie and Boba's not there? Are you going to cry? Is this movie going to be less good to you?
I will write a strong letter to Rian Johnson about it, and then a strong letter to Abrams about it, and probably get nowhere with it.
I think you're just going to complain on Reddit.
Can we see this strong worded letter that you wrote? Because I think that'd be awesome to read.
I'd like to read it, but I don't want us to send it to Ryan, because I'd like to think that one day we could talk to Ryan. And I would really hate to be like, I remember a year and a half ago that Jesse Buck kid, is he still with you? And be like, yeah, Jesse's really involved. And Ryan's like, absolutely not. I want to give you this exclusive interview for Looper 3. But
he's a bloop.
Yeah. But we can gladly read that letter. David, what do you want to see in this trailer?
On top of Canto Bight, which has just been fascinating to me as more and more have been rolling out about it, I'd love to see the Praetorian Guard actually do something with their...
That's a good one. I'm going to have to side with them on that one.
That'd be kind of neat. I'd love to see more shots of the planets that we're going to visit. When I think back to the trailer for The Force Awakens, I still have this vivid memory of an orange sunset with some, TIE fighters coming towards us on them. And just, as I watched the trailer that we got a couple months ago for this earlier today, and just the framing, the scenery is just beautiful. So I'd love to see some new landscape shown to us. And then maybe see a little more about what's going on with Luke and why he thinks the Jedi need to end. Maybe he's doing some fighting. Maybe there's some training of Rey. Maybe there's him
Grilling some porgs.
Yeah.
That's funny. Mark Hamill, I said Luke. Mark Hamill actually came out on the internet recently and was like, "Yeah, no one's eating the porgs in the movie."
Better not.
That just nipped
I know. I saw it and it broke my heart.
And I'd love to see some more lightsabers too.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to see Luke Skywalker ignite the lightsaber in the trailer. I want Disney and Lucasfilm to tell the fans in this trailer, you're going to see Luke like you've never seen Luke before. What I want in this movie in general is I want Dumbledore from the 6th movie. I want the Great Master to unleash what he's learned and his great power. You've seen Luke develop himself into a Jedi Knight by the end of the original trilogy. We don't get him in Force Awakens. I want to see Luke at least ignite the lightsaber in this trailer. And that'd be great. What a great last shot would just be black and a green blade ignite.
I have a continuity complaint
Okay.
concerning this lightsaber, and it's partially because I've been rewatching the Clone Wars and Rebels in preparation for Rebels Season 4.
Mm-hmm.
There is an episode where Obi-Wan's lightsaber hasn't been stuck basically on the charger. You know, so the fact that they're able to just ignite this lightsaber from the get-go in The Force Awakens, you know, like I kind of wanted to see it like ignite for a moment and then like sputter out and be like, oh, the batteries are dead, you know, like we gotta replace the power cell in it. But
That's interesting that you bring that up because here's my thinking is, does it change now because we now know the kyber crystal is more of like a living object?
Possibly.
I think the mythos there's a lot of fleshing out that's needed, which maybe I wouldn't be surprised if something like this gets addressed in The Last Jedi because we've heard a lot that Rian Johnson is wanting to dive into the lore of the Jedi specifically and the Force.
Yeah.
The Force more so. So I'd be interested in seeing if there's some clarifications there. I just really want to see,
or at least in a future novel kind of thing. I'd like to see some, a little bit more clarification.
And that might be more appropriate. Maybe in the comics, something more visual. Of course, we've seen the bleeding of the crystal in the Darth Vader run that we have right now, and that was fantastic back in issue number 5. Now, to go backwards, what do I expect real quick? I actually think we're going to see something very similar to the first trailer, just a different part of the scene. So something when you take the first 2 trailers for Force Awakens, we actually get some of the similar scenes, but we get different moments in the scenes, or we get like 5 seconds before what we've already seen. So you know what I mean? So I think that's what we're going to get in the second trailer. There's going to be some new stuff. It probably will be It's probably going to be the stuff that we've learned about in the last couple of months through planned leaks. You know, so I would expect to see Canto Bight. I would hope they would show me the Praetorian Guards because I think they've been utterly disappointing so far. They look like crappy chess pieces so far. I just don't like the look of them. It's awful. You've ruined it for me because there's nothing more intimidating than those Imperial Guards from Episode 6 from Return of the Jedi. And I'm getting off tangent, well, that was a tangent. Grammar, words, it's tough. It's the English language.
Their skill and power on the battlefield has to make up for kind of how ridiculous they kind of look.
They have to be incredibly skilled because if you're giving them melee weapons, they better be doing something incredible. I wonder if they're Force sensitive. Maybe we'll see that in the trailer. I doubt it.
In the old lore, some of the royal guards were slightly trained in the Force.
Some of them were former. We know this that like one of the Inquisitors was a former Jedi Council guard. Yeah. You know, so I mean, they could be Force sensitive. That's going to do it for the first topic, though. In Real Talk, I thought that was a great topic. You know, there's just so much you want to see in this new trailer, and of course, it's going to be disappointing because there's only so much we can get in a 2-minute trailer, and there's only so much new stuff we can get in that trailer. But brace yourselves, because come Monday, October 9th, you're going to get that new trailer like you've wanted, or maybe what you've wanted, and then comes a fury of new footage. We're going to probably get an international trailer within the month after that. You're going to get all these 15-second spots. All the promotion stuff is going to drop. It's going to be very heavy on the promotional side.
Start seeing trailers at the movies.
Yeah, it's going to get really intense. Yeah. So just be prepared for that, especially if you're someone who does not like to see a lot of the footage or does not like to get hints at what the storyline will be ahead of seeing the movie. Now's the time to kind of make sure that you're positioning yourself to avoid that stuff. The next topic in Real Talk, I think is really great. It's Ron Howard. And he, again, the number one source for information on the Han Solo film is Ron Howard's Twitter and Instagram. And he's tweeting a few photos recently, one being some Ralph McQuarrie art is influencing what we're getting with the Han Solo movie. And so, whoa, I just had to skip in my thought process. But you're looking at the image there on your screen if you're watching it. If you're not watching, you're listening to us on iTunes. It's on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But it looks like you're in this old temple, sand temple, and there's like this writing on one of the pillars, and he's asking the fans, what does this mean? And Jesse, let's start with you since David started the last conversation. How do you feel about, one, McQuarrie art being involved with the conceptualization of Han Solo movie?
I love it. I love seeing all his, it's almost like seeing, the prototypes, basically. It's the concept art, and it's interesting to see it and then see how it evolves and what actually ends up making it to the film. So what we see here is it's just kind of to me it kind of expands the universe, especially with the writing on the wall here. It tells you that there is a larger culture, larger history than what we actually see in the films, and so that's why I love seeing that kind of stuff. And when any of that actually does make it to the canon, or the films and everything, it makes me so happy.
I mean, they're going back to the 70s, and they're going back to the roots of Star Wars, and it's critical for this Han Solo movie because it's that era we're going back to. We said the same thing for Rogue One.
It predates a New Hope, so you kind of need that potential rustic kind of look, that old,
Yeah.
I don't really have a proper term or like a word for it.
You need the original trilogy vibe.
Yes.
That's what you need. David, what do you think about this?
I don't know. It's neat. It says Yavin, whatever. I mean, of all the set leaks, this one's really...
Well, that was the language that McQuarrie and the guys that created for the Massassi temples for Yavin 4. And here it's getting repurposed, it looks like. I think that's a really cool thing, because the original design for C-3PO, it got reused for a new droid in the animated series. And there's a couple of instances, ships get repurposed.
I mean, I love the fact that they're going back to the McQuarrie stuff. I did some looking online, and I found a lot of the artwork and side-by-side with how it ended up looking up in the movies. So I'd love to find some sort of a hidden notebook of all his old stuff that hasn't been used yet, just so we can see what's coming. But
there are a few books like that have been released with McQuarrie art.
But as far as the set leak goes, just having some, sandy, carved words that say the word Yavin, whatever.
Okay, well, what do you guys think about the other tweet that he sent out earlier? It was a few days ago with Emilia Clarke, just saying that production with her is wrapped up. She's, of course, going to be one of the leads of the Han Solo film, and he makes a comment. He's like, she gives a great performance. We're 2 for 2 here. Still not a whole lot of information known about her character in this movie, but here's another big name that's involved with this project that is done. What do you think about that, Jesse? Doesn't excite you that we're getting closer to this thing being wrapped up?
Yes. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm conflicted on it, because I'm also a big Game of Thrones fan, so I enjoy Emilia Clarke's role on that. So it's just one of those things. I'm curious to see what kind of character she's bringing to the table, because I don't want to see the same character.
But you might not. I think you're also getting Ron Howard as the director, someone who's a little bit more intimate with his actors. Well, I don't know if that's fair to say either, but the guy does kind of guide the actor along the way. It's not like a George Lucas thing where he's like,
is it's you see this happen with a lot of actors who are in these long series of television shows or something. They get typecast, into a certain role, and so I'm kind of hoping that I'm kind of putting that faith in Ron to. I don't want to see Daenerys Targaryen in a Star Wars movie. Is what it comes down to. I want to see something completely different from her as an actress, mainly because for me it will validate okay, you're not just good at this this one show. You're actually good at,
I'm actually glad that I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones because I don't know her from anything. And this is going to be really great to me because to me, she's an unknown and it's not like she's not going to take me out of the movie. David, you hear the news that another title actor has wrapped with this movie. How do you react to that? Are you excited about that news?
It makes me wonder if we're going to get a title to the movie sometime soon.
God, that would be great, wouldn't it?
That would.
You know, I thought about that, but then I'm thinking, like, maybe it wouldn't. Well, I think we've been calling it the Untitled Han Solo film for so long that that's what I want my title card to say. Like, I want, Untitled Han Solo film and then a crawl. I guess I don't do.
Do you think it's gonna be a better title card than we got for Rogue One?
No.
It's gonna be the same garbage
It's gonna be same
that we got from Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Golly, the thing about it is that's such a great point because now Jesse, we have to be thinking. All right, we're getting Episode 8 here in December. When do they decide to drop that first Han Solo trailer? Because they have to be at the point now where they've got footage.
Let's see. When did we get the first? We got the first Last Jedi trailer in April.
Okay.
Okay, so
Which is what, about 8 months ahead of time?
about 8 months.
We'd be looking-
They're still aiming for May on this, right?
Yeah. So we'd be
I would
looking
have
at
to
this
say
month, October.
January at the latest. They would have to put that out in January.
Because they're only gonna have a 6-month push for
Yeah.
that movie.
Maybe
Comes
they
out in
roll
May.
it out with The Last Jedi.
Man, here's the thing. I don't see how they're gonna be able to keep Han Solo in the May slot because
It just depends.
That's
There's
gonna
still a
be
lot of
one hell of a
editing. If they just
rush.
finish shooting, I mean that's something.
they're still doing the reshoots.
They're still doing the reshoots. Exactly. They just finished shooting with Amelia Clarke. How many more of these do they have to do? What did they have to change? And we talked about this a couple episodes back. I really do think it would be better for them to push this movie back to December.
Because they've owned it and they'll continue to own it. We know The Last Jedi's been pushed now to December of 2019. And here's my thing. I'm just like, if J.J. Abrams is saying, I need a full 2 years to do this movie, because he's got to write a brand new script, he's got to shoot it, they have to have post. I just don't know how they're going to do it. Because it's not going to be we're not hearing a Ryan Johnson situation where Ryan Johnson is able to put it in the can almost 2 months ahead of release date. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Disney and Lucasfilm have the finished product in a vault somewhere. It's done, and it's going to collect dust for another 2 months before it's released to the world.
2.5.
Well, that's only reinforcing the point. I mean,
Unless we want to break into Skywalker Ranch.
Did they make a movie about that?
They did. Called Fanboys.
Let's jump to the next topic in Real Talk. Hey, if you have any thoughts about the tweets that Ron Howard sent out in the last week, be sure you're commenting at Twitter. Twitter's a great place to do that, at BTBD_podcast. Or if you're watching with us here on YouTube, be sure you comment in the comments section down below. All right, so let's go into the next topic on Real Talk. And StarWars.com gave an exclusive interview with Mark Hamill for his birthday, so happy birthday, Mark. And one of the topics is Luke's plan for the Return of the Jedi. So it's been several years after the movie's released. We get to overanalyze the movie, and the question is, does Luke is this a good plan that they've assembled to try and get Han from Jabba the Hutt? And David, I know you read this interview. You're really excited about it. What do you think about this specific part of the interview? What's your reaction to Mark's response?
I really liked how Mark just kind of turned it back on the interviews. Is like, well, I don't know. You're the Star Wars nerd. You tell me. And he goes into this nice long, as you continue reading the interview, that basically he doesn't go back and rewatch his own stuff. So he said that the last time he watched a Star Wars movie was when his kids wanted to see it. They had it in the big screen in '97 with the special edition. So he did his fatherly duty to take them, but that's about it. So he said, was it a good plan? Was it a bad plan? He doesn't really know because he's only seen the movie a couple times and not for a long time. And it's really more of us nerds who've watched those movies 30 times or more that can really go through and analyze the plot points and figure out if Luke really was making good decisions, or what happened if it had all gone to plan and Leia got Han out and then all the droids were stuck there. And fascinating.
No, I love how honest Mark Hamill is about Star Wars. I like how honest he is about his fandom, because he he always talks about how he still remembers the lines that he read for his audition. But I also like how he pokes fun. Like it's really an ongoing conversation that he has between the fans and himself, and I just love it. What do you think about that plan, Jesse? Because if you think about Return of the Jedi, he sends in Leia. He's sending in Chewie, and then he has to come in and clean shop.
The funny thing is Shadows of the Empire, the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, we're going EU.
Yeah, we're going a little bit into the EU. I mean, they kind of talk about this plan and everything, but there's still plot holes in it. So what if, because first they send the droids, okay? So what if Jabba would have took up that offer? You know, like, yeah, let's bargain kind of thing. You know, here's, I don't know, give me 20,000 credits, you know, because that's what he owed me or something. You know, but then you gifted the droids to him too. Like, so how are you going to get your droids back? Or...
Well, it's like the plan was for the plan to fail. I mean, there's a reason why R2D2 has his has Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, right? So I mean, when you look into that, because it's just like he goes like that, and R2's like, all right, I'm getting ready to launch this bad boy up in the air. You better catch it, kind of thing. You know, I think it was a very high risk plan. You know, and I almost want to say probably because you're dealing with, you know, the scruffy nerf herders and scoundrels of the Outer Rim territory. You've got bounty hunters, you know, basically hired mercenaries around a HUD. Yeah, I mean, the Rebel Alliance doesn't have much, you know, in terms of resources, so they can't really go, okay, we're going to land an army here and, you know, get one man back.
I just think it's funny because it's like, at this point, Luke is considering himself a Jedi. That he's trained for however many years have passed since Empire. Luke could have just gone in there, wrecked shop, and it would have been fine. I mean,
I would have watched that.
Yeah, I think Luke is at the point where he could have gone in there and just taken care of it.
I don't know, because, again, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to shake your head at me.
Do it.
Boba Fett. Okay.
You know what? You can't, because as badass as Boba Fett is, he falls in the Sarlacc pit from a malfunctioning jackpack.
No, but I mean, like, if Luke would have gone into the palace, you know, with his lightsaber, swinging, you know, fully, you know, for one, now there's no pit there, okay, and the truth be told, stroke of luck, Han hit, you know, Ralph hit the jetpack. Boba Fett had Luke dead to rights.
It seems like it's a reliance or a belief in the Force, where it's just like, we're going to give this peace offering. If that doesn't work, we're going to send in Chewie with Leia. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to go in there and mean business.
Or
and then
that was, like you said, that was the whole point was, okay, we're going to kind of get... I got to get my lightsaber in there, so that's the only way I can do it is to get this protocol droid and this astromech in here.
So maybe the plan all along was the fact that, listen, hopefully they take option one. If they don't, they'll take two. And if they don't, okay, fine. I'm the cleanup hitter. I'll come in there.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. I think the point was for all the previous little plans and little things to fail.
David, this interview had so many great nuggets in it, and I know you really dug into it. Give me one more aspect of this interview that you really appreciated as a fan.
I loved when Mark Hamill was talking about how he got into acting and into voice acting, and how much that's really meant to him. The voice acting side of things, because he said that when he was a kid, he really liked the comics. He liked reading Peanuts in particular, and then he discovered, you know, hey, these things move. They're called cartoons. And look at this. Disney's actually, like, showing you how you make these movies. And then he learned about voice acting, and he said in the article that, you know, if he couldn't be an actor, then maybe he could do something like set design or even be a caterer for it. That's just kind of how his whole career went, and that's kind of what brought him into voice acting. And he's got this nice little part in there where he talks about his role as the Joker and how it's really cool when people come up to him and say, hey, whenever I read the comics now, I read it in your voice, and how, you know, people always ask him, like, you know, is this really how you want to be remembered for Luke Skywalker and for the Joker? And his response is basically, well, it's better than not being remembered at all. So,
oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing about it is the fact that, you know, his big break is Luke Skywalker. And then in the 90s, he gets the opportunity to voice the Joker. And I think of all those interviews that you see of him where he's saying, like, you know, I like acting, but voice acting is so much more free because no one can see you.
You know, what's kind of interesting is when I was a kid and I saw the movies and everything, I really enjoyed, you know, his acting as Luke and everything. And I remember asking my mom, you know, hey, is he in anything else? And my mom was like, well, I don't know. And for a very long time, I don't think I knew that he voiced the Joker. I probably didn't know that until maybe, you know, early teens.
You wouldn't recognize it.
You know?
It just sounds so much different.
And in truth be told, as far as actual films go, aside from Star Wars, I know there's probably a couple that he's had like a cameo in or something.
Kingsman.
Yeah, that was the most recent one I saw. But prior to that was some sort of weird Guyver, I think it was called. Don't quote me on that, but it was like a really poor budget sci-fi movie, and that was for a long time the only other actual live action film that I saw Mark Hamill in.
I think,
and I had no clue that he went on to voice acting for a very long time.
He's just done a tremendous job, and I think he's going to be remembered for both roles. It's not going to be just Luke Skywalker. It's going to be for both. And I think, all three of us here at this table, when we read a comic book and it's got the Joker, no matter if it's the Grant Morrison Joker or if it's the Paul Dini Joker, it's Mark Hamill, that voice that you hear in his head. And of course, with Star Wars, the thing I like about Luke Skywalker is I never think of Luke Skywalker as Mark Hamill. That's Luke Skywalker. And I'm okay with that being his one big appearance on the big screen. It works for us. The next topic of Real Talk is Star Wars Rebels Season 4. We're, 2 weeks away from the opener for Season 4, and we just got a new poster for Season 4, and it's a pretty poster. You have the main crew there forefront, and then you have the Empire looming off up top, kind of faded away, looming over them, and of course you get Lothal there in the distant background. And Jesse, let's just start with you on this one because... one, because we're a little further ahead than David. No slams. But you know what? Let's go ahead and say spoilers, because there might be some spoilers.
I like the colors on the poster.
Okay, so yeah, this is really conversation for Jesse and I. No, that's fine. Maybe you're in the same boat as us. Maybe you're in the same boat as David. We'll say spoilers just in case. But Jesse, what sticks out to you from this poster? Because it kind of seems a little conservative.
I like the colors, Dave.
You like the colors? What else do you like? Smart ass.
I like how, you've got the group together and everything. There's a level of there's something tense about it, but also if you look into the background, it's kind of faded into the background as you have a very intense battle of some kind. You see fighters, you see explosions on the ground. There's a lot going on in this poster. For me, I noted that Kanan was not wearing his mask. Which is something still kind of a new thing, it's kind of a recent thing, but he's continued.
David doesn't know about the mask being put on or taken off.
This is a continued thing, so.
I'm imagining a Halloween mask right now. So.
Kind of.
Something tells me I'm not right.
No.
Just on a different note, I really loved that there was Jag eyes on that mask / helmet. That's kind of a Mandalorian thing, so. It's kind of like a nice tip of the hat, I think, from Dave Filoni.
Something that sticks out to me is we see some starships there in the distance, and I think we're going to get a really big battle, the Battle of Lothal.
That's what they've been teasing about everything with the heroes of Mandalore. Something this season is very intense.
I think it's going to be like the Battle of Jakku, right? So it's going to be something that we see here in the series, but we're going to learn more about in book form. Because we obviously see the remnants of the Battle of Jakku in the opening shots there of Force Awakens, but we learned so much more about it through Lost Stars, through Aftermath. So really excited to see what that will be.
Well, you can kind of live through it if you have Battlefront. It was one of the free DLC maps. So you get it's that huge fights going on above you, and I kind of nerded out when it came out. I didn't actually play the round. I just sat there and watched because you actually see. That capital ship hit the ground. It's amazing.
I just want to know who they're going to kill off first, because I think someone's dead in the first 6 episodes.
First 6?
First 6. Oh yeah.
More than just an expendable stormtrooper.
Oh yeah, you're getting one of the core group is gone, because the only ones that make it out are Chopper and Hera.
Mainly because we see Chopper as a cameo in Rogue One, and we hear.
General Syndulla.
Captain, I believe it's still Captain.
Okay, Captain. Okay.
Captain Syndulla is being called to the the command room kind of thing. But then here's a really sad thing about. I'm still wondering is this just another relation maybe? We see Chopper and we see the Phantom or the Ghost and everything, but I don't know. Yeah, what happens with Sabine? What happens with Zeb? What happens with Kanan and Ezra?
I think Zeb's the first one to go. Zeb's the first one to go. I'm fine with it too. And I'm fine with it. Now it's time to come off. We know that this season's going to be shorter. It's not 21 episodes. I think it's like 16 or 18.
It kind of breaks my heart.
Kill them off. No, it's not. They're going to get rid. They don't have time now for all those junk episodes. You know how they had like 2 or 3 that were clearly for the kids? Don't have time.
Arguably, if the episodes are a little bit
There
longer.
was a robot singing in space, Jesse.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Space whales. Give me a damn break.
You're not getting me excited for the things to look forward to.
We told you
in
to
the
put
show.
earmuffs on.
I didn't listen.
No, season 3 is where all the relationship enhancing happens so that you're invested, and now they're going to all die. And you're going to see how they're all going to die. I am going to be really surprised. There is... So, Ezra, we're going to talk about in the Fan Comlink, because we had a fan question.
This is a Disney XD show. Are
Right.
they really going to turn it that violent to kill off all except for 2 of the main
Yeah.
cast?
I'll be honest. This was a show I was skeptical about because they announced it after the acquisition, and then some of the early trailer for it. I really kind of was like, man, this looks really kiddie, and you're putting it on Disney XD. I was really surprised at the progression of the storyline, even at the end of season 1.
I mean,
Season 2 continues with that and everything.
You have to get through season 2, because you have not gotten the goods of Rebels yet. So you need to go and learn about the Jedi, and you need to learn more about Kanan in particular.
Yeah,
you need to see it more.
There's some really important stuff that happens in this show that is really constructive and builds the lore.
You know that Ahsoka's in it.
Yes.
So Ahsoka's critical. The Inquisitors, the brothers and sisters, are critical. There's more Vader. There's more Tarkin. You have to watch more, but you're gonna understand there is so much on the line.
There's a lot of important things that Filoni does for the fans with this series.
I'm excited for it. Jesse's excited for it. We're gonna get you there, buddy. We're gonna get you there. We're gonna watch it after the show. How's that sound, Tiger? All right, we're gonna jump to the next topic. Talking to you like you're my own kid. I don't have any kids, not that I know of. Hey, the last topic of Real Talk is the new Forces of Destiny clips. That we know that we're gonna get 8 more here in 2017, 8 more in 2018. But we now have new footage teasing this new season. And David, you've watched this new footage, and what are your thoughts? Because it's the distribution of these shorts is a little different.
It looks like in October we're getting 2 more of them that are both going to be 30 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like them at 2 minutes, so I really don't think I'm going to like them at 30 minutes. And, I don't know. I mean, you got the bad, and then you've got the really bad. So, like, there's a bad scene where, like, Ahsoka and Yoda are fighting, and it's not a very exciting sparring match. But then you've got the even worse scenes where, like, they're on Endor, and there's a couple stormtroopers tied up over a fire, and Leia makes a joke about, oh, even Ewoks get hungry, and then the Ewok takes a spoon and hits a stormtrooper in the head.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
I will tell you, though, what scene that really tickled me was seeing Ahsoka and Yoda, seeing those two sparring, because that would excite me. And then if I'm a kid, I'm like, oh, I want to see more of that. And then if the parent knows anything about Star Wars storytelling in the last 10 years, they're like, well, we can show you more Ahsoka and Yoda in the Clone Wars. So it actually, in that way, would serve the purpose that Disney wants, is it's as a launching point. But Jesse, you see this footage, you're not too excited about it because it's good writing, but it's not good art.
Writing. They betray all the characters.
Well, Chewie in particular, doesn't he get kind of...
I think total out of the recent batch of these these Forces of Destiny episodes, I think there was like 2 that were kind of like, I was like, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them were just, I wasn't sold on them. I mean, I kind of get the point where, yeah, you're trying to introduce this maybe a younger child to Star Wars. I mean, me personally, I'm the type of, I would probably, here's A New Hope. If I really wanted them to have a canonical experience, then yeah, I would start them with episode 1, move them into episode 2, then the Clone Wars cartoon. I mean, I would really go down the line that way, if that was their interest.
Well, okay,
but,
so that kind of sums up what we feel, I guess, about the series. So
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Well, and like we say all the time, this is what Nick Stewart lives by: is I'm not gonna, at the end of the day, I'm gonna accept free content. I'm gonna appreciate the free content. We're gonna watch it because that's what we do on the show: is we consume it and we tell you what we think about it, and we're gonna encourage you to still watch this stuff and let us know what you think. And if you have any thoughts on what we discussed or what you anticipate these 2 half-hour pieces of Forces of Destiny content, whatever you think that's going to be, you can tell us in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or tweet us later since you're listening to us on iTunes. Let's jump into the next segment, guys. Pages, Pixels, Pieces, and let's talk about Battlefront 2. Because if there is anything that, if it's not the movies that we're talking about, we're excited about Battlefront 2.
Definitely.
And we got 2 gems in the last 7 days. So, guys, let's first start with the 5-minute feature that we got with John Boyega narrating. Jesse, you're the Twitch affiliate at this table. Just give us your initial reaction. Let's not go in depth yet. Just your initial reaction to this 5-minute trailer of visual beauty.
Just from experience, from what little I experienced from alpha testing to this 5-minute trailer, action-packed.
Yeah.
You're going to get that action in the game. You're going to experience that. There's going to be intense fighting on the ground, in the air, in space. It's just a lot there. And I kind of loved how they had John, work on this trailer and everything.
Because he called their stuff out.
He was very vocal about the last game, about it, the things that it lacked. So for him to kind of it's almost like he's giving it at least a stamp of approval. I mean, hopefully it's not just because
he's the fans' fan.
But he seems like a very humble individual, and I just kind of trust. He's a gamer too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have complained like he did about the other games. So that's my thoughts on it. But from that trailer,
really great
it's
stuff.
A lot to offer.
Really great stuff.
Yeah.
David, let's get your initial reaction to this thing, because I know that you and I had to watch it a few times just to consume it.
God, the graphics.
Isn't it crazy? It's so cinematic, right?
Everything is.
Because you and I played the original Battlefront.
Right, and Camino was our favorite.
And right, but
and
this
is
looks,
in it.
this is completely different.
It's gorgeous.
There's some really nice effects. I mean, it's.
I want to take this to my travel agent and say, how much would it cost to go here for vacation?
How important, because we were talking about this earlier, how important is Camino to you when you see it?
To me, it's one of my favorite planets.
It seems like it's raining all the time. We'll just send you to Seattle.
Seattle, thanks. No, but to me, when I look back, playing this in my neighborhood, there were 6 guys. We played video games all the time. We'd play this game a lot because we were all nerds. And Camino and Bespin were the 2 maps that we played, and Mos Eisley, I guess, because we do the mode where the heroes versus villains.
Right.
So we're getting all 3 of those in this game, and I'm very excited for it.
When we watched it for the first time together, David goes, that map right there, that's why I'm buying this game.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty cool. All right, so now let's get really intense with it, because we have the graphic in that trailer where John is breaking down. There's 3 times the maps, 3 times the weapons, 3 times the classes, 3 times the vehicles. We're getting more and more content. It's what we wanted with the 2015 game. You even get add-ons for weapons, it looks like. Jesse, talk to me, though, about the space battles, because, we get to ride the vehicles, we get to shoot the guns. The space battles, that was something that we really wanted to see a difference in.
The thing is that...
And don't get yourself in trouble.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to talk about what's out there and everything. There's a number of YouTubers that have had a lot more access to this game. They go to the conventions. These are the guys that hey, we want you on the floor playing this game.
What have you seen with those space battles, though?
The most recent one was I was watching a YouTuber, Jack Frags.
Okay.
He's a very known FPS shooter, gamer and everything. Something I noted in his gameplay and in this trailer itself was that the space battles, there's a lot more structure to it. There's more objectives to take care of, which was something that the Starfighter mode really lacked in the previous game. It was just basically a dogfight the entire time. It was first team to 200. The one thing I'm really hoping for is ship balance. Previous Battlefront, there was a huge disparity between the Rebel ships and the Empire ships. I'd say 9 times out of 10, Rebel ships won every single fight because they could outturn.
You think that would be the other way around? Like the Empire would have more ships?
Yeah, they could outturn the TIE fighter, so it was just one of those things where it really wasn't an enjoyable experience. From what I've been able to... What we've seen out of this trailer, what I know is out there, it seems better. It's more structured. It's more balanced.
That's something we didn't like with the original games, was the space battles were lame, right?
I sucked at them.
Yeah.
Weren't the best.
No.
Hey, what? Okay, so again, so you had about 2 weeks that you got to play the game, Jesse. Tell me about. You were talking earlier about when you're playing the Battle of Theed and just the detail. Can you describe the detail with the tanks?
It's pretty much it's the same graphics engine that the previous Battlefront used, with some improvements. Things that just little details like that. You know, it's like the best way to describe it is like looking underneath that tank. You know, on Theed is like if staring at a hot, blacktop during the summer. You see the
heat resonating.
The heat thermals, coming up. You know, so and then just leaves blowing. It's very nice graphical features and everything. And I mean, I can definitely attest. I mean, what you see again in the trailer, that intense combat that's going on, the explosions, the blaster fire, it's there.
I just like how the vehicles, because you were saying like the vehicles aren't just objects in the way. Like you can drop down, lay down. You can be picking people out from underneath, right?
Yeah, that was something that I just randomly kind of like just. I wonder if you could shoot, and I did, and it's like I just got a hit mark.
The science
like
is
a hit
real.
mark.
They're like the science is more accurate.
It's from a programming standpoint and game mechanic. It's just like, okay, yes, it provides some cover, but you're not completely gonna get to sit behind this thing, and if somebody's crafty enough, like I don't know, lob
you're gonna have to be a lot more aware.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, then you can play the campaign mode that we're gonna get, and I think that's what David and I are most excited about is
Very much so.
that story of Iden Versio.
Yep.
Well, what did you see with I noted how cinematic it was, and I think obviously the music is there to kind of enhance the experience of the viewer. But David, what did you think about when you saw Iden?
My initial reaction was just excitement.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long since we've had a Star Wars campaign mode and a first-person shooter that I've really enjoyed. In the other Battlefront 2, of course, we had the 501st, and that was really enjoyable.
That was so fun.
And I was just left empty after the 2015 Battlefront. So regardless of if this is going to be subpar, which I don't think it's going to be, I will still really enjoy the campaign mode because that's where I have fun in the games. I'm not an overly competitive gamer. I'm not going to go online and just start owning people online. I'm not that good.
We'll let Jesse and Nick do that.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
That's fine.
I'll carry it.
We can just play together in a little sandbox of our campaign mode and let the big kids go kill all the
Now, Jesse, don't you have a strategy when you play? Like, if you're on the ground, you play with a keyboard, but you have a different approach when you're flying.
And he's like, at least with the previous Battlefront, I always plugged in, a controller because it was better. To handle a ship. You could sit there if I really wanted to fine tune, my keyboard and mouse for, fighter combat,
Right.
But I've always been kind of your ground assault. That's my preferred play style. I'm very. There's enough out there that clips that I've put up via Twitch and everything. I'm just a very aggressive ground assault player.
You just need your joysticks for space, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Jesse? Grab your joysticks and hold them firmly because we got another gem for Battlefront 2. What?
He said joysticks. I don't have
people who aren't watching this that are going to listen to that and think, what in the hell are these people doing?
I can assure you that Jesse has pants on. I wouldn't have let him into the studio without him. You stay in your seat, buddy. Framing. Hey, let's jump and talk about the second bit of footage that we got this week.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Aren't you kind of small for a stormtrooper? All right, hey, so campaign mode cutscene. Can we talk about that clip? It's about 2.5 minutes. We get Iden Versio, we get her dad, and then we get the Sentinel. And the Sentinel is the creepiest. I would describe, I think, Dementor from Harry Potter. Kind of glides over, and we are going to put spoilers. So I'm saying spoilers. David's in the cough again. He's sick. Give him a break. And we'll put the spoiler on the screen.
Buy stock in hulls if you have a chance.
We know that the Emperor has just died, and he has his contingency plan. We learn his
Operation Sender.
Yes, Operation Sender, and it is the creepiest thing ever because it's this like black shield, and then there comes the Emperor's face, and kind of breaks it down. And David, let's start with you on this one. Just what is that masterpiece that we just saw? If that's just a little taste of what we're in for with this campaign mode, oh my goodness.
I'm really excited for it because it kind of sets the stage for what's happening it's interesting the technology that they're using with this creepy red Dementor-like Sentinel thing, because it really just kind of glides, and the hologram for the face just looks like nothing we've ever seen before in this universe. So obviously the Empire's tucked away some pretty awesome technology that they're not letting out to the general public. But the thing that probably strikes me the most is Versio asks, who's the target? And it almost gets like hostile against her, like you're not classified for that, like it's gonna, rip her throat out or something. And that's when her dad pulls her away and has the conversation and gives her her orders.
I love hearing, her father asked, what fuels these rebels, and hope, and so Jesse, you see this, and well, even the Emperor had a little self-doubt that he'd be around forever, or else he wouldn't have these Sentinels positioned. What's your reaction to seeing something like this? We've never seen anything like this before.
It's a testament to Palpatine's ability to, I don't know, his strategy.
His vision, yeah.
His vision, everything. We know that Sith practice was, there's a master and an apprentice, and the apprentice always kills the master at some point. So I don't know if this was just, this is where his plans somewhat stemmed from.
Yeah.
But somewhere in there, he had to have been like, this fight with these rebels, he probably viewed them as terrorists. He's like, this is really dragging out. They already destroyed, one Death Star. It's just kind of one of those things. Is he really got to somewhere in there? He got to thinking, he got to preparing, and he developed as you learn.
This is what I like about it. It's the Lucasfilm Story Group keeping a promise, and that's to keep it cohesive, because it's not the first time we've seen these Sentinels. A lot of people are like, oh my god, what is this? Like, we didn't know the extent of their creep, but we've seen this in Shattered Empire, hinted at in Chuck Wendig's Aftermath trilogy. So here you are, if you're a fan that's taken the time and the financial investment, read the books, read the comics, here you are getting rewarded. So often we talk about how, if I read all this stuff, I really hope I get a payoff in the movies. Well, here you're getting a payoff in the game, and it's just this web, and it's so well organized, right? It's not like we're having, what George Lucas said on a talk show one time, and then here's the good writers, and here's the bad reporters. It's not the rings that we got with the expanded universe. This is cohesion, and it's awesome. I feel so happy that I'm like, I've seen this before. That's great. That's payoff.
I can't remember who I was talking to. They were asking me about how it was actually a Twitch viewer. It was off stream, but he was talking to me about the lore and everything. And he's like, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I didn't like what Disney did. And I had to explain to him. I was like, no, it was a good thing. And once I basically told him that, like, they had to fix this, he was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, and I was like, I'm not. Some of your favorite characters, okay, look at Thrawn again. He was up in limbo. Filoni saved him. So it doesn't mean that all these characters are gone, okay, but at this point, they're really wanting this to be cohesive. They're wanting it to be structured, and they want it to deliver.
Yeah, I really do wish they would have kept James Luceno's Plagueis novel. That would have been nice. Just because obviously Plagueis isn't going to be canon no matter what, but his origin, that would have been really sweet. But no, I just love the scene, and I love the creepiness of it. And
very tense.
Yeah, and I think we've confirmed, I'm pretty sure Janina Gavankar confirmed this on Collider Jedi Council. I'm pretty sure that Sam Witwer, who does the voice of Emperor on this, because
he also reprised his with his voice Maul for this game with Rebels, but also with Battlefront.
That's right.
So it's just phenomenal.
Wait, did we confirm? Did they confirm if it was Maul and the Emperor, or did they confirm just Maul?
Definitely Maul, but he did do Palpatine in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. So
did Ian McDiarmid do this?
I don't believe so.
Well, you know what?
We're gonna have to research it.
Maybe, or we're gonna be able to discuss it coming up here in a second. You don't have to look it up because remember it's the Blasted or Stash It. Hey, that's called the Deep Tease. All right, let's jump on. Before we close this segment, let's talk about just the fact that the comic Mace Windu #2 came out this week. We don't have it just because of our LCS, but we'll check that out. Darth Vader #6 drops this coming week.
This Wednesday.
Yeah, so Mace Windu 2 is last week. This coming week is Star Wars 6. We'll check that out because obviously we know that Vader has slayed the Jedi. We know that Vader has made the crystal bleed. I think the next logical step is, okay, how does he assemble his hilt? How does he make that?
You know what's interesting about that? I want to see that, but I just watched an episode in Clone Wars where the Padawans are working on assembling and everything. I'm just kind of like, is it a different process? Somehow, is it a similar process but somehow different?
I don't think so.
Is it just the bleeding crystal that is the whole different?
I think so because Ahsoka in her novel she assembles her lightsaber hilts, and it's no different for her, and she's great or whatever.
Spoilers.
Oh.
I'm halfway through the damn book. I was reading the book on your couch before we started this.
Well, hey, look at that. You got that. It's all right.
When did we tell you to take the earmuffs off?
Oh. Hey, all right. The next segment of the show is Stash It or Blast It.
Gonna blast you.
Hey, so we know that 40 Short Stories is coming out here shortly. It's the novel where it's these 40 short stories, and they're from all different kind of writers, from the comic side of things, from the novel side of things. We know that we have a lot of cool voice actors, including Johnny Hamm. We mentioned, though, one of those guest writers that really caught our fancy, David, was Paul Dini. That he writes a story for Boba Fett and Boba Fett. I'm sorry. I just made a mistake. Calm down. I know, every time we mention the guy's name, your pants get a little wet. Okay, relax.
See, I butcher all the names. That way you can't make fun of me when I screw up one of them.
Here's the claim, though. Paul Dini compares Boba Fett to a character that he created in the Batman verse, in the Bruce Timm verse that got adopted to canon. Harley Quinn compares the two, says they're very similar. And his point, I think, is the fact that you have two characters that were created after the whole thing got started, right? So Batman obviously existed for decades until they plopped Harley Quinn in there and dropped her in the animated stuff, and she took off. Well, here's what happened with Boba. He got dropped into the canon, dropped into an animated clip, and then took off through Empire and all those other things. Jesse, you don't agree with the comparison?
No, I actually don't. Like, Boba Fett was a planned character for the movies. That's without a doubt. Okay, and he was simply just introduced with the holiday.
You're so offended by this.
Well, this is the thing: is that he was introduced with the Christmas special, and yes, that little animated short, but this wasn't just a random character that was just, let's put this guy in. No, this was a planned character where Harley, as you described. Bloop.
Yeah, they plan to underutilize Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back.
Right. I think, yes, that overall maybe his importance did change somewhere in the story writing, but the fact is it was a planned individual to be there. He still played an important part in Empire. So with this overall topic, I don't really see a whole lot of similarity here. Okay. This isn't something that I would really get behind.
Blast or stash it?
I would blast this.
All right, David, what do you react to this?
I'm gonna blast it too. I mean, Boba Fett's really a mercenary for hire. He'll do whatever he needs to do to make $1. Where Harley Quinn's just like crazy. And so personality-wise, I don't see really similarity. Not necessarily from a planning standpoint. I don't want to upset Paul Dini, so. Whatever you say, boss. But I secretly blast it.
Well, that's how I feel about it.
Disagree.
I'm gonna stash it because you know what? If it helps him relate and get invested in the story, more power.
It's an interesting article. It's an interesting read, but I can't side with it.
Okay, well, how about this? Because we talked about this just a few minutes ago. Ian McDiarmid teasing possibly the return of the Emperor. But he's basically telling BBC News that he doesn't want anyone else to play the role. He's saying that obviously after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the Emperor is dead. He's done. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's a story beforehand. Well, one, could there be a story for Palpatine after Return of the Jedi? Do you think they might have brought Ian McDiarmid back to voice the Sentinel that we just got done talking about a few moments ago? Is that possible?
It's possible. I'm gonna look into that, but I'm pretty certain because Sam Witwer was teasing that he had done some other voice work.
But we also got a tease from, was it Warwick Davis? Someone teased that McDiarmid had been doing some voice work within the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm. It's possible that it could be for the Han Solo film, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
You know,
maybe like a propaganda message to like some
possibly.
Yeah, okay.
You know, at the same time, who's to say we don't actually hear his voice at some point in The Last Jedi either?
That would be nice because they were
Okay.
able to kind of get a little bit of Alec Guinness in there for Obi.
I mean, as we just saw with the Sentinel droid, it's basically a hologram recording to some level. Who's to say, I don't know, the Resistance is kind of doing some research on the First Order. They're trying to figure out their plan kind of thing, their origin, maybe where they went. You know, anything's possible at this point.
David, what do you think?
I'm gonna stash this one because I like the notion of him not being recast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Emperor's already been recast once, and
That was just visually.
yeah.
Oh,
but
and the audio.
audio. I mean, no offense to Clive, who did the first incarnation, but Ian does a phenomenal job. And
I think if you watch all, the six that the Emperor is there, that story arc is just as convincing as anything else. I think that Ian McDiarmid gives the best performance, most consistent performance in all six, other than Ewan McGregor.
Like, I love to hate the character. Like, you know, like, he does such a fantastic job. The story arc is fantastic. Like, just for that, for Palpatine alone.
And think about this: he
his
played the
rise to
Emperor.
power.
He played the Emperor when he was young. In the original trilogy, he was a younger dude playing this old, decrepit Emperor, and then he comes back in the prequels and has to play the younger version when he's older. It's just like the complexity there, and it's so fluid. And I love the fact that we got the originals first, because to me it was so moving when we got the opera scene in Revenge of the Sith, where you have him telling the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. You know, it's
His
awesome.
voice changes, and it kind of takes on, like, an evil tone. Like,
It's awesome.
you know,
what do you think about a spin-off movie with him?
Oof.
I
don't
might be
know.
stretching it. I don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not against it, but I don't know.
What story would you tell?
You could tell a story about how he's a junior senator from Naboo who somehow finds his way in with Plagueis. And
Yeah, but I don't think you're using Ian McDiarmid. I think you're using a younger actor to tell you that story.
I don't know if you get that on film though. I think I wouldn't mind seeing like a comic run or maybe a short novel with it.
That Plagueis novel we mentioned earlier in the cast, James Luceno, I mean, that was a great origin story for not just Plagueis, but for Palpatine as well. Needing
It's
to be
interesting
replaced.
that got excluded.
Sucks.
It really is, and it's always been it's a whole different topic, but I've always kind of wondered why that got excluded. But
All right, well, we'll find out together. But my goodness, it would be really cool to find out what the heck Ian McDiarmid has been up to. He recorded something for some Star Wars project. We'll find out. Maybe it is Battlefront 2. We have research to do. It sounds like we all have research to do. Let's jump into the next segment now, Cosplay Cantina. And hey, by the way, what do you think about Ian McDiarmid voicing or being recast as Emperor Palpatine? Tell us in the comments below or tweet us. Hey, Cosplay Cantina, we have a new cosplayer of the month for the month of October. And we want to thank Stephanie again for being our cosplayer for September. But my goodness, Robert Lamella, you are an ace. This guy has a great Kanan cosplay. You're looking at it now on your screen if you're watching. If you're listening, hey, check us out on social media later on today. But this guy, he's from Las Vegas. He's a bartender in Vegas. And he does this really cool Kanan. We're showing an image there. And he also does a Darth Maul. David, did you have any reaction? You just kind of like looked up at me. Did you have something you want to say?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, I've been overly impressed with all of our candidates, and you guys are the ones who really are more, I'll say, judgmental over particulars. What was the conversation we were having earlier about sanding off the Nerf?
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, before the show started, you guys didn't hear this, but I went on a kind of a rant about seeing Star Wars cosplayers using Nerf. You know, and that's a common thing, but normally these Nerf guns are a little bit modified, so
Sand them down.
they don't look so much like a Nerf gun. What's killing me is people are shortcutting it. They're painting them, and it's not that the paint job's bad. It's the fact that they're leaving the words Nerf on the side or made in China or no. I'm sorry, but they don't have writing on the side of their blaster pistols in Star Wars. Sand that down, smooth it out. You know. Make it look nice, because I see that,
Robert looks nice.
Robert here.
Robert's doing it right.
Robert's doing it right, and I'll be honest with you. So far, out of most of the Kanan cosplays that I've seen, his is actually pretty spot on. Because I mean, he goes as far as to have the hair to go with it. he's actually trying to become that character, and I would believe, that being actually
Absolutely.
Kanan.
So we're gonna give his Kanan Jarrus the October Cosplayer of the Month, and now we just need you to respond to our email, bud, to make sure we can confirm a time where we can get you on. And of course, Stephanie and Rebecca, we're still trying to get to confirm their interviews. They're just busy because they troop so much.
It's kind of con season.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we get it. You're busy. But so excited to have everybody on the show. And I also want to throw up this image because this is Jesse's latest project. Is it a D200?
It's in the game, you can find it in Star Wars The Old Republic within the game. It's the D200 Military Enforcer. It's a blaster pistol, but you can actually see this blaster in action in the cinematic trailer Deceived for Star Wars The Old Republic, and it's used by a Mandalorian, Shea Vizsla. I was like, oh, I like that. And when I found out it was in the game, I can't tell you the links I went through to get my hands on a couple of these for my bounty hunter in the game. So I'm happy to actually have this in front of me. It does require a lot of work.
Yeah, it looks like you've sanded it down and you've maybe put some paint on it in some places.
No, I've been sanding and smoothing,
Okay.
but there's I call them pock marks, but it's basically air bubbles that are close to the surface of this polyurethane resin.
Okay.
So basically, I'm using gazing pipe. What you see on the picture, the red and everything, is me filling those holes in, so that way it's got a smoother finish and everything. It's just about there.
Well, it looks awesome.
So,
and good work for you. And so I want to make sure, I want to brag about when you're doing cool stuff too. Because we brag about the cosplayers who send us their things, but I want to brag about you. And if you have any more progress throughout the week, make sure you're tweeting that stuff out so we can keep the viewer updated.
I always take pictures of my work. I don't really have the setup to really video because some of this gets really messy, especially sanding, especially Dremel and polyurethane. Oh man, it's a huge mess.
Well, hey, I'm glad you took a picture of it, and I'm glad we get to share it. And so if you have any thoughts about Jesse's work, you have any thoughts about Robert's work, make sure you're hitting them up on Twitter and Instagram. I know that Jesse's real big on Twitter. I know that Robert's on Instagram, so be sure you're following those guys. And we'll have their social media, as always, down in the description below. Hey, let's go ahead and tap the Fan Comlink. This is a segment.
I love this. Is my favorite part, honestly.
I love these last two segments that we do because it's the conversation that we always talk about. We want to have with you when you're watching, when you're listening. This is the part where we get a chat. So if you ever have a Star Wars question, be sure you're sending us these by tweet at BTBD_podcast. At least use the hashtag beyondtheblastdoors. We search daily just to try and find your questions. We got 2 this week, and they're stellar. Let's first start with our buddy John over at StarWarsNewsNet.com, and they are one of the best aggregators. They are the best. They're not one of. They are the best aggregator of Star Wars news online, responsible for a few stories that we talk about every week. There's no way getting around it. His question to us is, hey, fellas, we've been talking about this for a bunch. Do you think that Ezra will die at the end of Rebels? If not, where do you think he ends up? Great question.
It is a great
question. Jesse, jump on it. What do you think?
Well, I think yes. I think Ezra will die at some point, probably towards the end of the season. I actually think him and Kanan will both die at the same time.
Oh, wow.
That's just kind of my thought process on this.
Death by Sith?
Simply because, well, it's difficult introducing these Force sensitive or these surviving Jedi because where do you put them?
Right.
You can't throw them into the original movies. That'd be too far fetched.
David, talk to me. What's happening to Ezra?
I don't think he's gonna die.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what's your explanation there?
So this show's on Disney XD.
Yes.
Which is a kids station.
Okay.
And they create Ezra.
That's true.
To identify with the kids.
Yes.
So now you got all these kids, all these 8, 9, 6, 10-year-olds who watch this program, who identify with Ezra. They want to be Ezra because he gets to go learn how to be a Jedi.
What a great opportunity. What a great opportunity to teach him about death. No?
You're going to be a shitty parent.
No. All right. So then what do you think? What are they doing here?
I haven't decided where I think he's going to go yet, but I think everybody else can die or somehow get out, but maybe he just, says, well, everyone's dead, I'm done, peace out, and just walks away from it.
We talked about it a while back. I mean, if he doesn't die, if, David's kind of right, that might be too much since he's kind of like the main character
here. He's the kid in the show, yeah.
Right. I wouldn't actually mind him. Actually, we talked about him possibly being DJ. Because I mean, they kind of have a saying. Yeah, when I look at Del Toro, I kind of go, yeah, he could play an older Ezra Bridger, and maybe he changed his name. I mean, if he's living in the criminal underworld to hide, it would make sense. I don't know. It's a valid point. But something about it just says he's going to.
There are ways to end his storyline without killing him off. Because I think if you kill him off, I think that's a whole lot of children who identify with this character who are now like, huh.
It's so frustrating that it's not your fault, but it makes me sad that you haven't seen the rest of Rebels.
I think he's going to sacrifice himself.
Because we've already seen character deaths in previous seasons. So it's...
I think he's going to sacrifice himself. I think what's going to happen is the Rebels are going to get in a situation where Hera's got something of importance, and she has to escape. They have nothing left, and he's going to take a ship, and he's going to go into some Imperial cruiser and block for their escape. I think he goes down sacrificing himself for the friends that took him in. I think that would be.
That's kind of how I feel. Possibly him and Kanan.
Yeah.
Another
one
go out together.
And another one. Okay, that's as much as I can say legally. Hey, let's go jump to the next question. If you have a thought on Ezra, what happens to him after Star Wars Rebels, be sure you tell us in the comments below or tweet at us. Now, I'm really excited about this. Schwarzer Blitz at Gray Dimitri Rev. I think Dimitrev. I'm sorry for butchering your name, but he's a new face. He's a new subscriber. He hit us up on Twitter a couple of days ago. Was like, hey, found your podcast. Thanks so much, and here's a question for you. So he's asking us, what are our thoughts on Lothwolf's spoiler, Bendu-like creatures? So what kind of knowledge can they give to Ezra? So we talked about it before, how we're wondering what these wolves are, what they represent. Is it a who that they represent? What's their purpose? We're seeing so much in the trailers. David, this is a spoilery section for you.
I really feel like we need to get you earmuffs. Like noise-canceling headphones.
So, for those of you who do follow Rebels, you know that somebody dies. Okay? So, Jesse.
It's Ahsoka. I figured that one out already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then I don't feel bad about it. So, David, what do you think about these wolves? Do you think they're going to be a factor?
I think that they are going to play an integral part in the story because they're going to be present and things are going to happen with them in the plot.
I cannot wait for you to finish to get caught up because it's going to be such a more educated answer than that. Jesse, they got to play some kind of role here. What are you thinking? Do you think they communicate telepathically or something?
What's a Bendu?
Oh, God, you got so much to learn.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jesse?
The common fan thing is, is this Ahsoka?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it doesn't make sense. Either she survived and we just haven't seen her yet, or she died, became one with the Force. It doesn't make sense for her to all of a sudden be alive again as, a Lothwolf. Overall, it doesn't surprise me that, yes, there would be some sort of creature or being who's just, I don't know, inherently just that Force sensitive.
Because we know that Lothal is actually a planet that's very Force sensitive.
The question, what kind of knowledge will Ezra gain from this? I think it'll be along the same lines that we saw with the Bendu. The Bendu aided, helped kind of, Kanan was struggling basically.
Yeah, he's frustrated because he doesn't want to.
I don't want to ruin it. But the Bendu helps Kanan.
Right.
In a very tough time where Kanan is dealing with a physical disability.
Well, we know that Ezra is connected to animals. He's got that relationship.
Yes, he seems to have some sort of, if you watch the series, he's got this.
So here's my thing. Is it just a freaking wolf? Or is this thing... What I'm nervous about is, you're good. You're good. I'm giving you the thumbs up, you're good. Here's my thing, is this going to be a thing where we're going to learn about reincarnation in Star Wars? Because I don't think it's going to be Ahsoka.
God, I hope not.
Is this a thing where you've died and you come back as a spirit animal? To me, that's garbage. I don't want that concept in Star Wars.
I don't want that at all. If it happens, it happens. I just don't want it to be a repeat thing. It's fluke. kind of thing. But
Well,
I think this is its own entity,
Yeah.
like the Bendu was. The Bendu wasn't anybody other than Bendu.
Yeah, Lothwolves are Lothwolves.
Okay, so again, the type of knowledge that it can offer, I think it's going to be along the same lines, where it's not going to be like, this is how you use a lightsaber. You're not going to get. He's not going to get that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of.
Here's how to catch a rabbit.
This is how they connect to the Force.
Yeah, I don't know. The more I think about this, if it plays that kind of a role, I might check out at that point. That could be a real make or break moment for me with this series, this season 4. If we're gonna wrap this thing up, man, that could be hit or miss. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Tell us in the comments below. Tweet at us as always, guys. We've reached the last segment of this show. It's been a fun episode, episode 19. Crammed so much content. So much talk into this episode, and it's nice to know that here we are staying on target. What are we targeting for the upcoming week? And David, what do you got? What do you got?
Darth Vader #6
Okay.
comes out on Wednesday, and I am still on the hunt for a Porg plushie in our tiny little Midwest town.
I told you GameStop has one.
They did not when I stepped in, so
no.
they must have been sold out.
Jesse, you get to lock your targeting systems on one thing. What is it?
Are you really going to restrict me to one thing?
Well, I never seem to be able to anyways, but I
Okay.
always try.
Darth Vader Battlefront 2 open beta for me starts Wednesday
Ooh.
because I pre-ordered.
Yes.
So if you pre-ordered, you get open beta access October 4th through the 9th. If you have not pre-ordered yet, that opens up for you on the 6th and runs through the 9th. So we've got Darth Vader, Battlefront, cosplay work, and then for me on Friday is the new Blade Runner movie. I'm a huge fan of the first movie and everything, so I'm kind of hoping this will be a lovely sequel.
You have to be the worst pilot ever because you're just always fixated on so many damn things at one time. Your targeting systems are overwhelmed.
Yeah,
But
but
you know what,
I
though?
multitask so well
You
sometimes.
do. You do. Gosh, I'm probably okay. So for me, getting my chance to play Battlefront 2 has me really excited for.
You, Nick, and I need to talk this week at the very least, so we can play together.
Well, yeah, and David too. He's got PC capabilities as well.
Yay!
Yeah, so all four of us, and I think I mentioned this before, but if not, we're all going to play this game, and so taking that conversation to the next step. I think we're going to try and do a couple episodes where we're just playing online and we're just going to have a conversation about what's happened. But I think we want to do like weekly games, and we want you to join us. And
I have the
and play.
perfect setup. I've got a Discord server set up that we can use so we
Jesse's
can communicate.
All sorts of excitement.
I'm ready to go. This is the other thing though, is are we going to be allowed to stream it? Because I want to stream it, but who knows with NDA stuff? But they let the last open beta.
Well, whatever we do, it's going to be legal. That's going to do it for episode 19 of Beyond the Blast Doors. Thank you so much for joining us, whether that's listening on iTunes, watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. Be sure, if you haven't already, comment down below. Tweet us what you like, what you don't like. What can we do better? Next week, my gosh, we're hitting 20.
Episode 20.
I'm not a teenager anymore.
We're not. We're like on our own and semi-independent.
We're an angry
so-
young adult now.
When
Yeah.
we hit 21, I noticed that the local grocery store has like the bottles of sparkling grape juice that are Star Wars themed.
Yeah.
Can we get some of those?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
We can do that. That's
I can
awesome.
drink a whole bottle of that by myself. An interesting fact: if you drink a whole bottle of sparkling grape juice, the next time you pee, there's a hint of that smell there.
And that's why you watch Beyond the Blast Doors. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up down below, hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media, all these things that helps us.